Hi, everybody. It's me, man alone. Was that enjoyable for you to just see me rolling those dice? Well, then I've got good news for you. You're going to love Free League's Year Zero system. And that is what we're going to be talking about today, the Year Zero engine. I've mentioned it in a few videos and some comments about it, especially solo play with it. So we'll talk a little bit about the Year Zero engine. I am by no means an expert on it, but I am a YouTube personality. God, disgusting. And so I don't have a great. I don't have an expertise in the Year Zero engine, but I do have opinions about it, which I'd say are about 63% wrong. Before we get into that, if you follow the channel, you probably know I've been a little bit MIA for a while, and I would love to tell you all about that. But this is the second time I'm recording this video because the first time around, I did tell you all about that. And I didn't get to the Year Zero engine until 27 minutes in. And in fact, I didn't even start it. I just stopped and re-recorded because I said, this is criminal. What I'm doing is criminal. So I'm going to summarize it. I'm just going to summarize it as concisely as possible, and I'm going to try my best. I moved. That's awful. That's one of the worst things, is moving. I hope to never move again. I hope to die in this chair. Not soon, but, in like 40 years or whatever. So I moved. Hell. I also rage quit my internet. Which, like most things you rage quit in life, feels good for about 2 seconds till you realize, oh, I also rage quit the other thing I needed. Like if you rage quit a job, you also rage quit your paycheck. Well, I rage quit my internet and then also had no internet. And so I was sipping drips of internet from a mobile hotspot. And what a bold name for something that sucks so bad. Like mobile hotspot sounds like a F-14 fighter jet's name. It was giving me, I think, 9 megabytes per second download, and upload I think was reversed. I tried uploading a video. When I went to bed, it said 4%. When I woke up the next day, it was at 3. So somehow it had backed up, and I had to stop the upload because I was afraid it was gonna, overflow and spray data turds all over me or something like that. So. Just, awful, ashamed that not having internet for 5 days was that difficult, but here we are. It's the 90s. What else? Oh, it was also my birthday this week, and Miss Man Alone got me some incredible goodies because I've been good. Very much looking forward to, already started dipping in these. This is In Carmine, which is a mothership supplement. Also got Liminal Horror Investigators, a sort of horror investigation game. Has some excellent tables in there. None of these are specifically solo games, but they're all filled with solo produce, let's say. And then this one, I must say, you're not supposed to have favorites, but good God, does this look gorgeous. This is Trapped Within. It's compatible with Mork Borg. If you're familiar with Mork Borg, you know that compatible with Mork Borg is kind of like someone calling themselves a CEO of a company. Like, a CEO could be the CEO of Hewlett Packard, or they could be the CEO for Huey and Patrick's Deli. And so there's a wide range of products that have the compatible with Mork Borg stamp on it. But very, very quickly, as you're flipping through this, you see that this is the genuine article. This is the real deal here. And you even say, wow, this looks so good. Even like these little texture changes here. This looks so good. It almost looks like Johan Nohr had his hands on it, and you would not be wrong, because in fact, Johan Nohr was one of the illustrators. So I have already drunk deeply of these and looking forward to even more. And then a little B-Day present for myself that came in the mail. This is Sandbox Generator. A small but thick book here. I've been using the PDF for this for the last year, and I was able to snag the print copy. I was very excited about this on drive-through for about $18. And, I got to tell you, if you are a GM, if you're a solo player, if you write role-playing games, you really need to get Sandbox Generator. I think it floats under the radar because the layout is so simple. There's just not much to it. There's a few little illustrations here like this, but this is just it's got everything. It has everything. Yes, hex map, hex crawls, biomes, factions, random encounters, landmarks, artificial landmarks, natural landmarks, settlements, names of settlements, hamlets, villages, cities, castles, towers, abbeys, different layers, dungeons, special rooms. This book has a coat of arms generator. So if you're playing a game and looking to put together a coat of arms, or if maybe in real life, if you're thinking about starting a fiefdom and you want to give yourself a family crest, go ahead to page 112 here. You can draw up a coat of arms. So all of these books hopefully will make an appearance on the channel at some point. Had a wonderful birthday, and am excited to cap it off with the way that everyone should cap off their birthday, with a pointed discussion of the Year Zero engine. So yeah, this is the standard reference document for Year Zero. It is available for free on Free League's website. Just Google Year Zero engine SRD. It's 40 plus pages, and this is everything you need to know about Year Zero. And in fact, my agents, I have multiple now because channel's growing, so I have 60 or 70 agents that live in my basement, and they're not going to like this. But honestly, if you kind of want to just skip this video and read this SRD document, you'd probably get everything you need there. It's going to give an overview of the Year Zero engine, the key features of it, how to deal with different skill checks, combat, stuff like this. The Year Zero engine has a lot of things I really love about it, and it has some things that I think work really well, and some things I don't like about it. And not only the basic system I really love, but when they tinker with it a little bit, I have some misgivings. The Year Zero. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the Year Zero engine. I'm going to talk about what it is, what it's applied to, and discuss it a little bit, what I like about it. And then maybe we'll close talking about its potential for solo gaming, of which there are usages of it floating out there, but not as many as I'd like. So I am actually going to see if I could generate enough, I've already started this, enough text to put something on drive-through of just kind of like a Year Zero, what do we want to say, converter for solo gaming, because I do think it works well. Okay, so like I said, the Year Zero engine is a D6 dice pool engine. You're looking for sixes, usually. All right. And when this system is called the Year Zero engine because it was, as far as Free League is concerned, it showed up in Mutant Year Zero. Okay, which I think they're on their 4th edition of this game now. But this is one of their flagship games, and the Year Zero engine, spawned from this. I'm nearly certain, if you've been, in the field for long enough, that Free League didn't come up with a D6 dice pool, but like a lot of things, if you're a medium to large company and you kind of codify it, write it down, it's yours, right? Even if people were using derivations of it before. Not saying that there is negative intent there on behalf of Free League, just saying that it is associated with Free League. But I know that if you probably look back, it's not like Newtonian physics or something where they discovered a law of nature that wasn't there before. But I do like the way that they present it, the way that they adapt it, the way they use it. So I always have much love for Free League, except a couple things to do with Year Zero, which we'll talk about. The most common time that you are going to employ the Year Zero engine in gameplay is during skill checks. Skill checks, combat, usage of your gear. Okay. And I think it's page 41 we're going to talk about. You know what? I should just look at the table of contents here. Oh, I'm wasting 42. All right. So all right. So this is something that you'll see often in a lot of games, but in Free League, you'll have these skills which are derived from this, standard set of attributes: strength, agility, wits, empathy in this game. I do wish that there was some streamlining of this across Free League games. I know that different games are going to have different needs as far as skills go, but I wish there was a little bit more coherence with base attributes. I understand that you're not going to need a data hacking skill in Dragonbane, but sometimes I do look up skills in Free League games, and I'm going, is there truly nothing here for awareness or perception and stuff like that? But generally, you're going to have these skills. In some of their games, there's basic skills and then advanced skills. And these are what you sort of calculated stats, right? Derived stats that are based on your base attributes. And using these, you will come up with the role for whatever it is you're trying to do. Okay, so this will be very rudimentary to some of you who have played this before, if you've played any role-playing games. But say that I wanted to, I wanted to manipulate somebody, right? I wanted 50 cents off an Almond Joy bar, and 1 second. And my manipulate stat or skill was a 2. I would put 2 dice in my dice pool. All right, just to start. We're not rolling yet. And then my empathy is also a 2. So I'll add 2 more. And this is so absurd that it might ruin the example, but let's hope not. I also have a special item called a upper tooth sparkle varnish, and it gives me a winning smile when I put it on, right? And so that's a piece of gear or equipment, and that adds 1 to any dice pools in which you are using manipulate skill. Okay, so I have 5 dice. I've just made my dice pool, and it has 5 dice in it. And the creation of the dice pool, I find, is the first sort of enjoyable feature about the Year Zero engine, is this very simple, comprehensible way of developing your attempt. All right. Now, as I am wont to do, I'm going to talk a little bit about the psychology of dice rolling. And if you rolled your eyes at that, that's fine. I'm not professing to have any sacred insights about dice rolling. I'm just going to talk about my own psychology of dice rolling and why Year Zero works very well. You now have this dice pool, right? And the amount of dice is a simple, again, comprehensible figure, right? And I know that more dice I have, the more chances I have, right? And we're working also with pretty low numbers. Usually skills in Year Zero engine games are they start around 1 or 2 and they max out around 5. And so when I'm adding these dice, I know I'm able to comprehend what that means. The difference between having a stat of 11 and a stat of 15, obviously, if you can count, that 15 is higher than 11, but what does that mean? What is the sort of impact of that, right? And I know that statistically we can figure that out, but I'm talking about the psychology of it. Like, does your brain have an automatic intuitive sense of the amount of advantage that is conferred to you by having a 14 rather than 11? You know that it's more, but how much more? You could say, well, it's 3 more. Okay, but 3 more what? Right? And again, I understand that you might have heard that, especially if you're the type of person that must correct everything somebody says. And let me just say that's a very unbecoming trait you have. Nobody likes that. But I understand that it's 3 more. But what I'm saying is, like, do you have a native, intuitive recognition of the relative benefit that the increase level of a stat from 11 to 14 that confers? Okay. Because if you're working off a lot of derived stats, and you're also working off of different systems that are roll above, roll below, etc., while you can intellectually understand the relative impact of that, and in fact, this year 0 engine SRD actually has like a statistical breakout of, the chances of rolling a 6 in any of these dice pools. What I'm talking about here is the psychology of it. And the psychology, for me, the psychology of the dice roll is very interesting, because I've sort of taken some time to zero in on what happens to me when I roll dice. And if you think that's a waste of time, you're right. But maybe not, because I'm talking about it now, and that way you don't have to start that report that you're putting off. I know before I roll dice in any RPG, tabletop, that I know I have to achieve something, or even a board game. I know I say in my head, I go, okay, let's go. I need double 6s. Oh, that would be bad. I need, 7 or 11 in craps. Come on, I need more than 12. Let's go. Let me try to get more than 12. Come on. What happens for me is I switch hemispheres of my brain when I'm rolling dice. It's very strange. Maybe this doesn't happen to you, but maybe you can relate to this. I know what I need, and then I roll, and this action right here, if you'll come with me on this silly little magic carpet ride of thought right here, this is actually the weirdest part of role-playing games. This right here is the weirdest part. It is the most unlike anything else that you do in a role-playing game, because most everything else that you are doing in an RPG involves verbal communication, either receptive or afferent. You are reading something, you're listening to something, you're saying something, you're writing something. And that's what it is. It's dialogues, internal, external, of different types. But then amidst that, you have also this physical motion, right? And I really think, yes, you could say, come on, you're just like generating random numbers. But just think about this for a second. Think about like, you're doing paperwork. Say you're doing your taxes, and then in the middle of your taxes, page 6 said, okay, so after you fill out your adjusted gross income, go to your backyard and throw a boomerang, then catch it and come back in. That's weird, right? And in the same way, when we roll dice, this is sort of weird. As we go like this, we throw something, we fling, we create a crash, a chaotic tumbling of these objects, right? And then our eyes are scanning. And what I find sometimes is that when I roll this, I don't always remember what I was looking for before I rolled. And yes, I mean, it comes back to me in 2 or 3 seconds. This is not about how difficult it is, I want to say. It is definitely as easy to use D6s. And I understand the problems people have with that because they feel like maybe you feel like you're playing Yahtzee. But that to me is the thrill of it. There's a reason why Yahtzee is an extremely popular game. I mean, I have news for you. Yahtzee is more popular than almost every tabletop role-playing game. Maybe D&D is more popular. Yahtzee is a game in which you put cubes in a cup and shake the cup, and then that's it. And I'd be interested to see like lifetime earnings of Yahtzee board game boxes versus D&D. Because there's a thrill in that moment and there's a scrambling in that moment, right? It is a slot machine. You have this moment that when slowed is like anything's possible. And then your eye scans, and once your eye catches the sigils, the symbols that you're looking for, it confirms or denies your success and the degree of your success. And when I have a very complex roll with complex dice, I lose that for a second. Maybe just a split second. Maybe just a split second. I forgot what the hell I was doing. And then I catch it again. But that latency, that 1 or 2 seconds, it impedes the natural dopaminergic thrill of that moment. It interferes with that. It's like if Tom Brady threw a touchdown, and while it was in the air, somebody was like, "Hey, spell Reykjavik, Tom," and he had to like think about, where's the J in Reykjavik or whatever. There's an interruption there, okay? Whereas a dice pool of D6 dices, where what I'm looking for is a 6, I solve that within a second. I see it immediately. My eye follows. I confirm my success. I feel thrill. And no matter how much you play role-playing games, board games, anything, you know that the biggest excitement is when you get to roll that, you get to make that roll that can decide so much, okay? That's a huge reason why I love the Year Zero engine. It's intuitive, it's fast, but it also preserves the thrill through the whole process from jiggle to release to read. It preserves the thrill, okay? And it also has such crushing disappointment, right? Because sometimes you will build a pool of D6s in a Year Zero game, and it'll be 10. You'll have 10 dice in your pool, and you'll throw, and you'll hit no 6s, and you will feel like I always do, that like I want a refund. I'm so pissed. Something went wrong. I have all these dice. I have just the right weapon. I have just the right skills, and I didn't get a 6. But there's also this weird fairness and understanding that happens after that too, where you're like, yeah, they're dice. 6 is hard to hit. It's 1 at 6. Right? And so sometimes you're going to roll a bunch of dice and none of them are going to come up at 6. And then you also start thinking about like, yeah, how many times did I roll and not come up with any 3s, but I didn't even notice it because I wasn't looking for them, et cetera, et cetera. So there is like a certain fairness to it. Okay. I'll stop prattling. And I just, I want to come back to this page, but in the SRD, the standard reference document, I think let me make sure. I thought that there was a statistical breakdown of this. I could be wrong, or we can find it later or something like that. But, it's something like 19%. Well, obviously, I mean, like, like the chances of rolling a 6 are 1 in 6. But as you increase the dice, decrease the dice, and also as you push, okay? And that is the second prominent feature of a Year Zero engine system is after you roll this dice pool and say you do not, like right there, I did not get any 6s, you can push your roll. And what that means is you get to re-roll any dice that did not come up as 6. And you're like, wait a minute. If I only needed 1 6 to be a success, why would I re-roll the other dice? Well, having 1 6 means that the action that you were attempting is a success. But perhaps you want a real strong success. The easiest example of that is in combat, right? If I try to shoot and my gun has a damage 2 and I hit a 6, that means that I've just done 2 damage. But say I'm like, no, I really want to get some damage. I want to roll on, the critical injury table. I want to try and roll these again and get some more 6s. Now I have 2 6s, right? And in some games like Coriolis, there's a crit for different weapons that'll say like, oh, this is how many 6s you need to roll in order to get a crit. And that means that, you can maybe take additional HP off, or you can roll on like an injury table and it'll say, oh, you blew off, somebody's demonetization digit on their hand. Whatever it is, you want it to be more severe. And so you'll push the roll. Okay. When you push a roll, there is some risk reward involved in that. And that differs based on the year 0 game that you're playing. So to go with the baseline of Mutant Year 0, if you don't get any 6s or you don't get as many as you want to push the roll, you want to re-roll, you can do that, but you add a mutation to your character. Or in Coriolis, you do that, and then you give a darkness point to the DM, or GM, which is basically says like, darkness points can be spent by GMs to kind of like screw with the players or confuse things or cause like accidents, whatever it is. But there's always some sort of negative consequence or wager that happens when you push. And there are rules about when you can push and when you cannot, etc. But that's at its like most core is you're looking for the 6s. Some games, when you push, they also will add another element, which is when you originally roll, you're only caring about whether the 6s are there, right? That's all you care about. But when you push and re-roll and push in some games, 6s are successes, but then 1s are like stress points or bad. That's only on the push roll. So it'll be like, oh, not only did you not get any more 6s, you now got 2 stress points. And what you do with that varies, right? Maybe you can like subtract it here and say, okay, that cancels that out. You have 1 stress point, or you could say some negative effect happened. You got to roll on a stress table. Maybe you accumulate it, whatever it is. All right. At its most elemental form, that's the Year 0 system. And I think that is where it is at its best. Okay. I think it's such a good system because it keeps the dice rolls simple. It is easy to learn and understand for new players. It's very quick resolution. You know what you're looking for. You know whether you got it or not. It is very grokkable in terms of, even new players are going to be able to understand what's the cost. Because again, this is something where I'm playing some RPGs and someone goes, if somebody, I know there's no push mechanic necessarily, but in Pathfinder 2e, someone's like, oh, do you want to push your roll? I'd be like, I don't know. Like, what does that do? What are the consequences of that? What's like, is that a good idea? Is that what a smart player would do? Which is here, I think I'm playing in a group right now of Coriolis with 3 of my players are new to Coriolis. 2 of them have never played tabletop role-playing games. They immediately got this. They immediately got this dice pool, right? So those are things I really like about it. The thrill of it, the ease of it, the intuitiveness of it, etc. The other feature that, Free League would say is that it's very, it's very adapted to each system, right? Each system kind of uses it in a different way that's specific to the narrative and the context and whatever. And I think sometimes that's correct, and sometimes I think that's a little bit of an oversell. And in fact, you hear people raving all the time as if it is like a written in stone necessity. They say, in a good role-playing game, the mechanics and the story, they have to reflect each other. And I don't disagree with that. I disagree in the intensity or the urgency of the vitalness of that, like how closely they align. You know, it's like um, as if like I'm playing a fishing game, and I should be like, in this fishing game, you're gonna throw out one die, and that's your lure, and then this one is your cast, and then it has to meet or exceed this fit. That's actually a pretty cool game. Anyways, but yeah, so sometimes you're able to do that, but sometimes games just, they're dice. You know, they're cubes. So like you can't always replicate that. What I think is a better way to think about it is the way that George Lucas would talk about like the prequels and the original Star Wars. You'd say like they have to rhyme, like stories have to rhyme, and I think that's a better goal than trying to get some sort of form follows function thing every time with your your mechanics and your story or whatnot. So and I think sometimes Year Zero oversells that, and I also think sometimes in pursuit of that, they really change the Year Zero system to a degree that is just, I feel, just excessive, confusing. It's gilding the lily sometimes, and sometimes it's just kind of like, wow, you have this very simple, intuitive thing, and you've kept adding parts to it. You kept doing like, um, you know, exhibit being like, we're going to put a dice pool in your dice pool kind of thing. And it just gets to the point where you say, just leave it as it is. Let it be okay. And then on top of that, there are these head scratching decisions by Free League to occasionally omit the Year Zero engine from games that it just feels like it would have really been great. I mean, look, I like Dragonbane. Obviously, I like the D20. I know that they're trying to sort of stay true to some roots of what is Draconer, Demoner, the game, the Swedish game. But I think a Year Zero system could have worked great in that. Symbaroum, right? Instead of doing a Year Zero conversion, they did a 5e conversion on that. Um, uh, let's see. The Vaesen has it. Mutant Year Zero has it. Coriolis has it. Uh, Twilight 2000 has it, I believe. Actually, I'm second guessing myself right now. Tales from the Loop has it. Symbaroum does not. Dragonbane does not. And Forbidden Lands has a very, very good iteration of it. Let me look in this drive-through RPG app, which, by the way, does anyone have this drive-through RPG app that like auto downloads all of your things in your library? I feel like if you've used this app, it's like, here's the ad for it. Hey, are you looking for a way to read your PDF files that has all of the weaknesses of Adobe Acrobat or Preview and none of the strengths? Are you tired of being able to see the next page when you scroll down to it? Are you curious about an interface that looks like it was made on Visual Basic in 1998? Then Drive-Thru RPG's proprietary reader software is for you. With only a 50% of the time crash rate and a complete failure to auto update your game files, which is the primary selling point of it. This is a can't miss app. I think this is the meanest thing I ever said on this channel, but I hope there's not like one guy named like Dale who made this app, because Dale, it's fine. I'm just kind of kidding, but let me rev up this app here really quick. Just because I am obviously Morkborg, Cyborg, Pirate Borg do not have it. Mutant Year Zero does. We'll see if the new Coriolis does. Symbaroum does not. Tales from the Loop, Vaesen does. Alien does. The One Ring does, Blade Runner does. The One Ring is one of the permutations that borders on perversion, abomination, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But that's an example of when they really go far afield, and you're going, what have you done here? Like what are you trying to do here? Okay, so let's just briefly talk about some of the what Free League kind of gets up to sometimes with the Year Zero engine, and we'll actually look at One Ring in a second. But I think as a little preview to this, there is this notion, this thing that they call dice pools. Are sort of the original Year Zero engine, and now named out like this is. Can you think of a better name for something to give you a good feeling about it? Just so you can, every time you think of the Year Zero engine, you can think of your stepfather. But you have these step dice, right? And this is the system in which, rather than looking just having this D6 pool, in this step dice system you have a skill level of the dice, and depending on what skill level you're at and whatever, you'll use different size dice. It's not too terrible. Like, again, it's not like it's not something that I can't understand. It's just, to me, it's sort of it changes the main features of it to the point where I'm going, well, why am I using this system if I'm going through all of this? And it just kind of feels like any other system at that point. But you have these different skill levels, and you say, well, you're elite, you have an elite mastery of this skill, so you use a D12 for this. What an interesting table here. D12 die type, die size 12. In what case would this be different? I don't know. And so you might say, well, that's sort of strange, right? If you're an elite at something, you should have a smaller dice, right? You should roll a D2 because you want it to be a higher percentage that you're going to succeed. But the way that this actually works is that, because you might think, oh, if I have a D12 dice and I'm using this Year Zero system, I have to hit a 12 for a success. No, in all these cases, you still have to roll over a 6. And so if you're rolling with a D12, you obviously have a 50% or much higher percentage rate of rolling a D6. It's much more likely. Anything D6 or greater is a success. Anything else is a failure. But again, I forget exactly what this like little psychological fun fact is, but there's this notion of like the human brain's ability to do sort of short-term recall, or like recognition of numbers, right? Like there's a certain amount of digits that you can just like look at, and your brain doesn't do any calculating. It doesn't do any sort of figuring or counting. It just automatically knows that number, right? So if I were to put the number 5 in front of you, your brain would just go, you wouldn't even say 5 in your head. You just recognize that it's a symbol. The same thing with 55. You automatically know what 55 is. 557, great. You probably don't need to like, unless you're just learning or you have dyscalculia or dyslexia, you probably don't have to say 5, then 5. Okay, that's 557. But it starts to get a little muddled around 10,000, right? When I start showing you 10,217, you don't have that automatic recognition of that number. And then when we get up to the, 600,000, and then we go up to 6,294,241, your brain has to start sounding some things out. It doesn't just have that automatic, sort of symbology, ready recall of symbology there. And I think that as we get to more complex dice, even if you're a role player and you're very used to using a D12, it's just it's not as built into the firmware of the human brain as a D6 is with the dots right here. These dots, you don't count the dots on a dice, right? You look for the symbol. And so all I'm saying with that is the higher we get up with that, the more there's like a little bit more of that interruption here. And I don't mean to be carrying on about this. I'm just giving you my impression of why, not that it's wrong or that it's stupid or that it's bad, but just like that it decreases the enjoyment of it over time. Okay. Now, where I really start to have an actual sort of substantive critique is brought out when we talk about the One Ring. Okay, so let's think skills. Yeah, we'll do making rolls. So this is the One Ring. I like the One Ring. I like this is one of the few sort of games that are made from like extant IPs that I enjoy because they happen at a time between the events that most people know about, right? They happen between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, I believe. I haven't played this for about a year, and so you're pretty free to do what you want there, right? I mean, I guess if you are playing with somebody who has like rote memorization of the Silmarillion, maybe not, although I think that's like a hyper prequel. But anyways, you're kind of free to move around in that space, where if I was to say, oh, I'm going to role play in the Empire Strikes Back, I have to, manage some knowledge of what's happening concurrently there. That will occasionally create some narrative boundaries in play. And I think that One Ring avoids that by the way that it's placed. So I enjoy it. I do think the page layout and the choices of these fonts with the titles, it could become very monotonous to read this. Even the pictures, I mean, they're very beautiful, but they're just not very... I'm not here to critique One Ring. So the first thing that One Ring does, which sort of starts to reveal, let's just say, an ulterior motive, or a secondary motive. I don't think this is like a conspiracy by Free League or anything, but it's like a secondary gain. It's like, yeah, we're going to use this system, but we might as well also create these like dice that are specifically for this game. And yeah, you don't have to use these dice, but if you don't, it's, you're not using the official dice. And look, obviously I'm not against official dice. It's fun. I think it's cool to have that option, but the pricing on Free League's dice is very, very confusing. It's very confusing. So there's like the Dragonbane core set, $40 to $50 you can get it for, and it has all of these dice. And I'm sure if you've watched my videos before, you've probably seen me do like the Man Alone dice count. But yeah, this is just in the core set. So $50, and you unfurl the dice, and you are gonna get, and I think there's a caltrops in there too. Oh yeah, there's another D20, and there's caltrops. Yep. Okay, cool. So you buy the Dragonbane core, you get that. All right. Oh, you can't see that worth anything. Sorry. Hope that wasn't very loud. Okay, so what is that here? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There might even be another D6 that's hidden somewhere in this cup. 11 or 12 dice. Okay. And you're getting that in a box that has, these cardboard stand-ups, and it has an adventure guide, and it has a rule book, and it has a map, and it has a several decks of cards, and you're getting all that for $50. Okay, so keep that in mind. And now you can also buy a Dragonbane dice set from Free League And in that dice set, you get maybe you get 2d20s and yep. Okay. So you get 3 or 4 less dice. That's $20. It's very strange. And they sell these proprietary dice for almost all of their games. Now, in Dragonbane, I happen to like this because it has like the Dragon Demon thing. It's a little bit different. And I can't speak for how it goes in other games. I've obviously seen the other dice, but it gets a bit weird in that, for instance, the One Ring dice makes use of a specialized set of dice, including a 6-sided dice called a success dice. And I have to say, this is the worst name for dice. Feet dice. I can't read that, and I certainly can't say it without thinking of feet, specifically hobbits, dirty, hairy feet. Dirty, hairy. So you got these 6-sided dice called success dice and these 2 12-sided dice called feet dice. Sold separately, the One Ring dice set contains exactly the right amount of dice for use with the game, but players may find it useful to bring some more, as it will be more convenient for each player to have some close at hand. If you have your own set, you can use them with the One Ring. Just remember that on the 12-sided foot dice, the 11 is the Eye of Sauron, and the 12 is Gandalf's rune, which is like a one-fifth menorah. And on the 6-sided success dice, the 6 has an elvish something, which represents an additional level of success. But that's not all. There is also these dice. Let me find this here. The success dice are special 6-sided dice customized to show the numbers 1, 2, 3 in outline and the numbers 4, 5, 6 in solid black. So that's much like the dyadic D12s, right? And so you have these D6 dice that have alternating fill-ins, and the 6 on them has this little symbol here. I don't know, like a cursive T maybe right there. And then also you have these D12 dice, and instead of 11, those have Gandalf's or Sauron's eye. And then if you get a 12, that's Gandalf's, like the artist formerly known as Gandalf. So just take that in for a moment. What the hell is going on? I roll those dice. Now you have on one hand, you have the pure, unadulterated year 0 system. Ready? Boy, I hope I get some 6s. Here we go. Oh, yay, 1 6. Cool. The arrow pierced my foe. And on the other hand, you have, okay, let's roll our success dice and then the toes dice. So I got, these are the feet dice. Look at these. Okay, this one's a 6 and this one is an eyeball. And then here's this, and I rolled nothing, but if I rolled a 6, sometimes it has a T on it. These ones are not filled in. These ones are, dude, what did you do? Look what they did to our boy. Like, why do all this, right? And again, I'm not saying they intentionally did it to like, let's sell some proprietary dice. I'm not saying that. I love Free League. I think Free League is the best thing we have going in just terms of, I'm so thankful for them. But I don't think they mind having sort of high complexity dice rolling systems. To add, I don't know if there's insult to injury. I don't think they're injured about it, but they're actually, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was actually a misprinting in the dice that went out, like on the first iteration of One Ring, and they had to like refund or send replacement dice to people because like one of the things was wrong on it, or it was blank, or I forgot what it was. But yeah, I guess play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what happens when we create a system that is sort of prized for its simplicity. When you try to turn it to 11, and then you try to turn 11 into Sauron's menorah. So I think that that's where it, like I said, it really gets in the weeds. The other thing I have to say about this, and I don't want to be exhaustive about this by showing you every example of this, but Free League, more so than any other mid to major publisher, is a friend to us solo players. Okay, I know that there are different opinions on the solo supplements. I happen to love the Dragonbane solo supplement, as concise though it may be. Forbidden Lands solo one is good, and I think it will get even better when the update comes out to kind of give the full picture of it. I don't know if that's an official Free League update or the writer of it is just kind of expand that. I'm not sure. Some surprises as well. For instance, one of the hidden gem solo rules is Twilight 2000. I think has a great solo supplement that not even a lot of people know about. This it's in the referee manual that I can't find right now. Did I get the referee manual, or did I get the... Yeah, this is the referee manual. There should be this solo rules somewhere in here that I passed them. Oh, they're right here. Okay, yeah, so there's solo rules here with excellent guides for hex crawling and really good oracles. You can draw up a bunch of different encounters. You can see using playing cards, whether they're helpful or hazardous. There's settlements. You could use all of these appendix references as well to determine resolution for problems, how to generate plot points, how to take notes, etc. What's missing here? Year zero engine. There's no year zero here. Okay. And I kind of do want to check right now just to make sure, because again, I this is one that I do not own, but I am thinking about getting it because Free League has their summer sale right now, and I think it's like half off. I am not sure. Let me actually check 1 second. So Twilight 2000 has our Step Brothers dice. There are a total of 12 core skills. They're all described. Okay. When you perform an action, you describe it. Check. Then you grab 2 dice, one for your skill level and another for the base attribute that's connected to the skill. These 2 dice are called your base dice. The type of base dice to roll depends on your levels in the skill and attribute of the table below. So in this sense, it's a little bit easier just in terms of thinking of that. You're just going to roll 2 dice, but then you lose the dice pool, which is constructing the dice pool is really fun. And also, I just feel like the range of possibility there shrinks. And sometimes when you lose granularity, that actually works better. I think a lot of games could really benefit from narrowing their range of stats. And then they have the push system here as well. Let's just see what it... if you want to try an additional, you can lean into the action, giving it everything you've got. Pushing yourself. This is called pushing it. Reroll all dice except those with the result of 1, showing the explosion symbol. You must reroll all dice not showing explosion or target. There is also a risk. Each time you push a roll, you immediately suffer 1 point of damage, and if you rolled for strength or agility, or 1 point of stress if you roll for intelligence or empathy. Okay, you got ammo dice. Cool. I might get this game. I don't see a lot on it. I really like the idea of this. For some reason, it reminds me of that weird moment in my childhood when, like, there was this thing where I was like, I better train, man. Russia might, well, I guess maybe that's my childhood and hopefully not my later adulthood. Anyways, I doubt that. I doubt that we're gonna have. Oh man, can you imagine? I think they already did a remake of Red Dawn, right? So if they do a remake, that is going to suck. Okay. So no. Bottom line, no. You're going to be using, your Zero engine, but no mention of it in the solo rules. Mutant Year Zero does not have that. One Ring. This is One Ring Strider mode. Amazing solo supplement, just in terms of a lot of people sleep on this incredible solo system. What I like about Strider mode too is that it has some like new stuff. Is it Kelsey Dion who does Shadow Dark? It's really funny. Recently tried to use Mythic GME for a solo playthrough of Shadow Dark. I think I'm saying that right. And kind of used it wrong. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. It just kind of rolled over when she's supposed to roll under or something like that. It went fine, as most solo games do, but said, using this Mythic GM emulator and seeing how solo play could be fun, I created this solo supplement. And the solo supplement that she created, it's great. I mean, it's eight pages, I think. You could download it for free. But I was looking at it and I was like, this is so interesting because it's almost like somebody who just like, if you'd never seen a solo supplement and you sort of reverse engineered it and created it yourself, it's going to have, every solo supplement is going to have like certain basic components, which is very interesting because, well, actually I want to do a video on this, on like the core components of a solo game and how really there's not much variation that's possible. What makes it special and unique is like the last 5% that you tinker with. But her solo supplement has like, this is an oracle. You roll this, and if you get this dice, it means yes, and if you get this number, it means there's a twist. And then here's these oracle tables, and you can roll dice, and it'll give you like different outcomes. And then here's all the page numbers in the core book that tell you different NPCs and encounters. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like if you, I'm not saying that she doesn't play solo games or whatever. I'm just thinking it's just like this very elemental construction of a solo game. And it leads to like the same outcomes. There's an oracle, a probability oracle. There's these tables. One of them is like made of vague signifiers, like the inspiration table and Dragonbane. Some of them are generators for action. Some of them are NPCs, et cetera, et cetera. However, I think that all that to say, I think Strider mode actually introduces some like interesting concepts. Obviously you have the telling table, which is more or less just, the decision oracle or whatever. You got your foot die. They kind of use this like feet die, success die combo as a sort of D66 here. You roll the feet die. It's like a D12, D6. You roll the feet die, and then based on that, you go to like a certain table, and then you're going to produce an action aspect focus. There's a hunt threshold region table, revelation episode table, and then they're broken down into adventuring phases. What happens when you're outnumbered? Solo journey events, great event details, misfortunes, despair, mishap. So I'm just saying, for like a solo supplement, I think it's got some like interesting ideas in it, and I like that. As far as I can see, it does not have a year zero system in it. Now, probably you're going to be resolving skill checks and stuff in a similar way using year zero. But if we're talking about year zero as this sort of, again, form follows function, we craft it for each game. My question is like, why not use any of the potential of the year zero engine for more than just like skill resolution in the context of solo games? Because to me, the year zero engine proposes an interesting mechanic for provoking forward progress in solo gaming. It is a simple system that includes a meaningful tactile activity. Boy, does that sound like a Navy SEAL euphemism. We engage the targets kinetically. But no, like, in solo gaming, I think what a lot of people say is like, okay, I got my journal, I got my game book, I got my dice. What do I do now? And I think like constructing the dice pool to me is something that is really fun and feels like movement. So to me, I would like to see more uses in solo gaming of the creation of dice pools, because it's just so simple. Like, especially because you're trying to figure out, in solo gaming, one of the things that you're doing the most approximating on, and you have the most fear of being unfair in your favor. Unfair in your favor, the fear of that is when you're calculating the difficulty of a task. And as solo gamers, we tend to overestimate difficulty because we don't want to cheat ourselves, and we make games harder because if we start to make them easier, we feel like we're not having a legitimate experience. However, if I'm able to construct a dice pool where each die represents some sort of objective or near objective thing, I say, okay, I've got to jump over this pool of lava. I have an agility of 2. Okay. I also have a skill of, grappling. And my skill rating in that is also 2. And then I upgraded to the silver grappling hook, and that gives me an additional 2. I feel good about this. I feel like, yeah, this is a semi-scientific way of determining my chances of getting over this lava pit. And I think that obviously it could all be BS, right? I could just be like, it could be just as arbitrary as anything else, but it feels more evidence-based, I suppose you might say. A fear may be that I try to get over this lava pool, I make my dice pool, I roll, and I get no 6s, and my character falls into lava and dies. So yeah, I get that. We might want to make some modifications to that. We might want to have contingencies for that, right? But more or less, I think this is some possibility here, uncharted. The last Free League thing that I want to talk about, I think, is for a lot of us who are not casual gamers. One of the biggest surprises I've had is the one Free League game that looks the most like a brand stamped cash grab, which is The Walking Dead universe by AMC, Free League and AMC. And the original cover for this was like, Free League presents AMC's The Walking Dead by AMC, featured on AMC, which I think is a little bit better now. But I have never looked through this. I never wanted to play this. I am not a huge fan of zombie stuff. I felt like I grew out of that when I was like 17. The Walking Dead, I've never seen a show like get so precipitously worse and worse over time, and yet still Game of Thrones got really bad and then ended. And Walking Dead is so weird. It never got like truly bad. Like it never like jumped the shark. There was never a moment where I was like, oh, the zombies are like, in next week's episode, the zombies start building houses with and they have little zombie neighborhoods, which I think actually happened in the last George A. Romero Night of the Living Dead. Anyways, it never like jumped the shark. It just like degraded. I got sick of Rick being like, Carl. And then I got sick of Carl being stubborn. And then, Negan being like, well. I guess we got a deal, Rick. And then, blasting someone's head off and whatever. It just got tiresome. And then it went on for 6 more seasons. And it's almost like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, I know that the Red Hot Chili Peppers are a popular band. I've never met anyone that's like a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. Like, I've never met anyone that's like, yeah, I can't wait till the Chili Peppers are back in San Antonio. I want to catch the peppers. And it's the same with Walking Dead. It was like, I don't know anyone who watches this show anymore, and yet they're just pumping out these seasons. They got 16 spin-offs. They have like a Walking Dead version of Seinfeld. What's the deal with people's arms falling off? Okay. What a diatribe. All right. What I want to say, though, the whole reason I started this is despite all that, I am extremely impressed with this game. I think it's really well made. And here is the wildest thing. This game might have the most, if not best, the most like well constructed solo play rules. I just want to take you through this a little bit. I've never seen this. It is not an afterthought. Like sometimes you could feel with solo rules that are like, hey, if you want to play solo, try this. Here's a table that decides if you walk in mud or poop or whatever. This is like, they invested time into this and page count. So creating your solo survivor, tweaking character creation, creating companions, which I didn't even know about. I was like creating this companion mechanic for my DB supplement, and I'm like, damn, this is pretty good. You got a luck oracle, you got a lucky die, theme oracle, the messing up oracle, which is like mishaps, progress clocks, prepping your game. You're not going to believe what I'm about to show you on the next page. You then create a settlement, and you have to use the relationships table to create 2 arrows of relationships emerging from and connecting with every person. Can you believe this? Look at this. This is a solo supplement at the end of their core book. You create a haven. You create factions. There's a table for rumors, issues, and challenges. Starting the game. It tells you how to do solo procedures. Hey, you're interested in walker swarms? They have a freaking table here to say like the likelihood and track the likelihood of running into swarms. It's unreal. Building exploration, player facing opposed roles, solo combat, what to do when you're outnumbered, what to do if you're being chased, soloing the swarm. And an endgame recommendation. Bro, it's unreal. However, not much in here about a year 0 system. Mostly just some D66, some D6, maybe the lucky die here. But yeah. So my appeal, and I'd love your thoughts on this. Perhaps I'm missing a big part of the picture here. I'd love to know what you think about the year 0 system. I'd love to know about your thoughts on using it in solo play. And, can we get some more year 0 in solo play? I think this has incredible potential for it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't say it. Because if you write that I'm wrong, if you write that in the comments, I'll get discouraged. And instead of making videos, I'll just do what I used to do, which is just instead of making videos, I'll just make pot pies. Okay, that's it. Please enjoy my new outro, and we'll see you next time.